Hey guys, so here's a project that I've worked on in the past. I thought I would share it with everybody. This is a fast draw competition gun. It's based off of the Ruger new Vaquero. You see it there. With a lot of modifications, as you might be able to tell. So this is set up for competition where you draw out of the holster and you're firing at a steel target as fast as you can using wax bullets. This one happens to be a 45 long Colt, and here's the shell. Now I put these in my lathe and I counterbored, or you can countersink. Counterboring works better, where you get a nice flat surface. These are drilled and counterbored for a 209 shotgun primer, and then you simply just press the wax bullet in, load this into the gun, and then you put your 209 primers in, and then you can fire it. So some of the modifications I've done, one of which is this grip frame is aluminum from an older Ruger. I believe it's off of a 3-screw, probably a Blackhawk, I'm guessing. I don't remember that much about the older stuff, so correct me if I'm wrong. So it has the aluminum grip frame, which is all nice and polished. It also has carbon fiber grips for weight. The barrel has actually been turned. Let's see if it focuses here. The barrel's actually been turned down quite a bit to save weight, and then I had aluminum ends pressed onto it, and then this is actual carbon fiber cloth that I layered on and wrapped for strength mostly, and then also for aesthetics, and then mostly weight saving is what I was going after. This is a stainless steel frame gun, so it's pretty heavy, and a lot of the guys use older 3-screw Rugers, based off of the fact that they're a lot stronger, and they usually go with a blued steel finish. This cylinder is stainless. A lot of people like steel because you can harden the cylinder stop or the cylinder bolt notches individually in the cylinder here, and that helps with rigidity. And this is set up as a fanning gun, so I made a fanning hammer for it, so that basically you can slap the hammer back and not miss it when you're trying to do it quickly. So and this gun is unloaded. We can verify that. I checked it before making the video, obviously. Sometimes it hangs up a little. Why is it hanging up? There we go. So there, it's unloaded. Another mod I did, the loading port, or the loading gate, I shaved it down and made it flat, so that, mostly for weight savings, and then I just drilled a small hole and countersunk it so that I can get my thumbnail in there to open it up. It's quite hard to open still, but I've gotten used to that. I'm still toying with the idea of removing some metal here, just to save a little more weight, but I really like the balance of the gun as it is. The weight's probably right about here-ish, maybe back a little further. So it's kind of a neutral balance, and the way I draw, it kind of just pops out of the holster when I throw the hammer back. So the weight on it's really perfect for how I like it. I even went as far as the cylinder pin here used to come out a little further, and I actually cut that off, faced it off on the lathe, and polished it up, so there's only just one little groove that you can get your thumbnail in to pull the pin out. The other modification I did is the ejector rod. Right here I trimmed this way down, made it a lot smaller, and it's still, you can still actuate it just fine. Sometimes my finger slips off, but not a big deal. Usually the shells fall right out. This one I also polished out the chambers. inside a little bit on the lathe as well, so that the shells will just drop right in, and then you don't have to really use the ejector rod at all to get the shell out. A lot of other modifications have been done internally, one of which is normally when you cock the hammer back slow, your cylinder bolt should lock up in the cylinder bolt notch. Now if you look at the top here, you see more fluting here than on that side, so you actually have to twist it a little bit. That's set up to where it slows the cylinder down just a little bit because you're hitting the hammer so hard, like right there we're in lockup. But if you cock slow, sometimes it doesn't lock up. So it's built for speed essentially. And then also the cylinder stop approaches. See if you can see it. This gun's so shiny. The approaches have also been elongated, made longer, and then that helps capture the cylinder stop as well. So when your cylinder stop or cylinder bolt drops into the notch, it has constant tension and it rides right into the groove here to stop the cylinder from rotating. These cylinder stop notches have also been cut deeper so that there's more positive engagement to stop the cylinder. So you're actually putting a lot of the force on the cylinder stop when you fan the gun so quick. So essentially you're just looking for making this a strong gun and making it last long. Also on the end of the hammer, I think they call it a spur, the mainspring guide spur or whatever you want to call it. It has a coil spring in the handle here. It's not a leaf spring setup. So I put a little steel block in the bottom here to where the hammer travel is limited. Now I have a little bit of overcock there just to be sure that the sear is engaged. Not a big deal on a fast draw gun, but I'm trained as a gunsmith and that's one of the things that I was taught to look for in a gun. So it's just kind of my personal pet peeve, and I'd actually like it to not come back as far. I'd like it to stop a little sooner, but I'll have to add a little bit of weld bead on that block to make that come up a little bit and then file it down to fit. So that's that. This is also an aluminum ejector rod housing to save weight again. This gun is extraordinarily light. I think it's probably just below 2 pounds somewhere. I'd have to weigh it again, but it's incredibly light. It feels like the entire gun's made out of aluminum compared to the stock Vaquero. So that's the gun that I made. The grips I bought, I think they're on carbongrips.com. If you type in carbon fiber gun grips, you'll get the guy. And I think they're out of the country, but the shipping was fast. The fit on the grips isn't the best. Obviously there's a little too much material on the top here. The back strap here fits fine. The bottom is short, so the grip frame actually protrudes, and then the front of it's pretty good. It's not perfect by any means. So that's the gun that I built. If you have any questions on it, let me know. If you're interested in fast draw, you can look up on YouTube. It's Fast Draw 101 with Howard Darby. It's a good resource to learn about how to do it, why they do it, what targets they shoot at. They also shoot black powder blanks out of these to pop balloons. And even some of the competitions, you have double balloons, so you have to do 2 shots, 1 on each balloon. So it's pretty interesting. And one side note: if you do anything like this to a gun, or you ever see a gun kind of built like this, especially with the cylinder work done, you never ever want to shoot actual .45 long Colt ammunition through it. This has severely weakened the cylinder structure compared to what it was stock. So if I were to fire a regular 45 Colt or 45 long Colt round in this, it would probably explode. Ruger builds a hell of a gun, so they're really strong, but the other thing you might notice is this normally has a sight groove in the top. That has all been shaved down, cut down, and then it's obviously polished to a high polish. But this top strap here is extremely thin. It's probably a little bit less than 1/8 of an inch thick. And this is what makes Ruger revolvers so strong, is that top strap usually. So I've removed a lot of structural integrity from this gun, especially with the barrel being carbon fiber. Obviously it's strong. It's probably stronger than the steel that was on it, but I would still be not wanting to shoot live ammo through this, which, as much money as I have into this gun and time, it's kind of silly just to make it shoot wax bullets, but it's built for that purpose, so that's what it does. I'm kind of just rambling on now, but but yeah, it's a very pretty gun. It's essentially, you look at it and it gets fingerprints on it, but it's extremely shiny. Actually, I repolished everything from the factory. Essentially, I repolished the entire frame and did the whole works on it. So it's a lot shinier than it looks. The camera probably has trouble picking it up, but I think I can see a reflection of my face right there. That's pretty funny. So it's a nice, pretty gun. It also shoots extremely well. I know I'm putting my finger on the trigger and whatnot, but like I say, I know it's unloaded. And I don't have any 45 long Colt ammunition in my possession, and nobody around me does, so I'm not too concerned about that. But you should always practice proper gun safety. Keep your finger outside the trigger guard. If you're going to build a gun, look for an older Ruger 3-screw. A lot of the guys will do a 357 because it has a smaller frame, smaller cylinder, and then they'll send it out and have the cylinder bored out to 45 long Colt, and then they have an all aluminum with usually a steel liner in the barrel put on it. And there's a lot of rules to this, so if you're thinking about building one of these guns, make sure you look up the rules for the class you want to shoot in. If you want to shoot in Cowboy fast draw, here's another gun that I built. Well, modified, I should say. So this is an actual working firearm. Again, it's unloaded, no ammo. I did a lot of niter bluing on it. These pins, this one's blue, these are gold. Loading gate's gold. It has a nickel plated hammer on it, and it's a bead blasted blued finish as opposed to the coating it had on it. And then I made these grips custom out of burl maple, and they fit the grip frame extremely well. I actually sanded the two together so that they matched. So this gun feels extremely smooth in your hand when you hold it. One thing I didn't like is these grips usually bulge way out, so it kicks your hand out kind of odd. So I made these ones a little bit flatter so that they're not sticking out as much. I even made this custom little brass insert for the screws, or for the grip screw. So this is a really nice gun. It's also had some polishing on the internal parts. It's got a spring kit in it, and it locks up just perfect. So if you want to do like Cowboy fast draw, a lot of times you're going to be fanning like that, or I'm sorry, not fanning, thumbing. You're going to be thumbing the holster out, thumbing the gun out of the holster. Oh my gosh, I can't talk today. So you're going to be thumbing the gun like so, pulling it out of the holster, and then firing just like that. You notice this also has a front sight. My other gun does not. There's no front sight. That can catch on things, and if you're fanning, you shouldn't have your hand this far forward, obviously, because then you're not practicing proper muzzle discipline. But if you were to fan this and you happen to get your pinky caught on that, you could cut your hand open. The other bad thing, this is I think it's a Uberti. It actually has a firing pin in the hammer. So fanning this gun is a little tricky, because if you fan it and your pinky gets caught on that firing pin or another finger, and you're coming back at full speed, you could rip your finger open. So the Rugers now, all of the firing pins are in the frame. So your hammer is completely smooth here. This one also has a transfer bar, which allows it's a safety mechanism. So I have my finger on the trigger, I'm going to lower the hammer, and the transfer bar drops out of the way. So now the hammer is not resting on the firing pin. So that's essentially your trigger has to be depressed fully rearward in order for the gun to fire. So if you were just to like have the hammer back and accidentally bumped it and you let your finger off, it would not fire. And I don't like the transfer bar in this particular gun. I think it slows the action down a little bit. There's a lot of extra friction on that part. So, but everything in that gun is polished to a matchless mirror finish, and it is extremely smooth. Everything in this gun is also polished to a match finish, and it is also extremely smooth. Even the pins, all the pivot pins are polished. The cylinder pin itself is polished. So that's kind of basically the fast draw guns that I have. This one is still fully capable of firing live ammunition. I don't really shoot it though, because it's more of a kind of demonstrating what I can do with my gunsmithing skills, and it's kind of my prized piece, so I tend not to shoot it a lot. If somebody wants to shoot fast draw with me, I usually pull this one out and let them use it if they're thumbing and whatnot. Now, I don't fan with this gun because the internals are not beefed up and they're not reinforced. So if you fan with this gun, you're going to beat the crap out of it, and your action timing is going to get out, and it's not going to, the cylinder's not going to rotate to the right spot. The cylinder bolt's probably not going to come up in the right spot, and that type of thing. And if you look on this gun here, there are some slight scoring marks in between these cylinder notches, but that was from the factory. The timing on it would actually, the cylinder bolt would actually drag on that cylinder in between these stops. So it's been retimed properly to where the cylinder bolt drops into the groove right here and then rides up into the notch. So this gun's probably the best timed single action I've ever done, with the exception of a Dragoon black powder revolver. That gun I had, I mean, it would just sing when you cocked it, and but this one's very good. And then this one is also extraordinarily good. This is probably one of the smoothest actions I've felt, with the exception of one other fast draw gun. I'd like to thank Daryl Peters. He's a gunsmith here locally who helped me with the process of this and how to do it. And the cool part is like, he was using wrenches, like just a regular open end box end wrench, to make these hammers, and then he would just cut off the spur and then braze these or silver solder them on. So that's actually what this is. This is a wrench. I believe it's a Cobalt wrench from Lowe's, or like a home improvement store, and that's what that is. That's all cut out and everything from a wrench. So it's extremely hard metal. It's not going to bend. It's not going to snap. I mean, obviously I'll break something in the gun first. So there's the two fast draw guns. I hope you liked the video. Sorry it's kind of long, but there's a lot that goes into these guns, so I I figured I'd touch on pretty much everything in them. Like I say, if you want to look up fast draw, search it on YouTube. Fast draw 101. Howard Darby is a really good shot. He's pretty fast. Nick the Quick, I think he's out of Canada. That guy's extremely fast. If you want to see some fast shooting, he's top notch. But all those guys are good. And also, if you are in Colorado or southern Colorado and you shoot fast draw and you have a timing set up, or a club that meets, let me know in the comments or message me. I am looking to actually practice timed, I should say. But I don't have a timing system. All I'm doing is shooting at wood and like plywood essentially, just to kind of get the motions down. I did fire, I think it was this gun. It might have been Daryl's gun on Daryl's timing system, and I got some pretty good times, but I just need to practice, and a lot of people out there have a lot of helpful tips. I know it's a competitive field and all, but I would think that you'd want new shooters getting into this. Maybe that's just me being crazy, but I notice a lot of the people in it are getting kind of old, and no offense, and they're starting to get out of it. So I don't see a whole lot of kids. There are kids, but I don't see a whole lot of them doing it. So, you know, promote your sport. If little kids didn't like football, there wouldn't be football for you to watch. And if there weren't little kids that wanted to play baseball, you wouldn't have baseball to watch. It'd probably just die out. So these being firearm related shoots and stuff, you know, with the gun laws and everybody freaking out about guns and this and that, this sport may not stick around. So hopefully it does. But like I say, if you shoot fast draw in southern Colorado, let me know. I'd definitely be interested in shooting with a club, or even just with another person that has a timing setup. And also, if you need gun work done for your fast draw gun, I am equipped with a small machine shop, and I can also do repairs and just simple work on the fast draw guns. I try not to do a whole lot because these are still serialized as an actual firearm, but I could do like little tunes while you wait, and that type of thing. I don't have an FFL, so I have to kind of be careful with that. But or if you need advice on tuning your gun, let me know. I know a little bit. I know enough, obviously, to build them. So if you need some help with it, or just like a simple part change out or something, and you don't know what you're doing and you want somebody else to do it, or like an action tune up, I can do stuff like that. So I'd like to get into the fast draw community, is my basic point here. So hope your day is going well, or night. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll have more gun related videos coming up, maybe even some archery videos. And what else? I've got also some car parts coming in, so my videos should be updated on the Volkswagen project that I've got going on. If you're into cars as well as guns, check out my channel. You might find some entertainment out of it. So have a good day, and we'll see you later.